What's going on, guys? It's Groove back with another video, and go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you're coming on in here. All right, let's go ahead and get started with that. You know, I gotta hit those algorithms. But yeah, so Parallel, the Bitcoin social layer, we're back with another chapter from this. And this is one of the last chapters in the book, and where he actually goes into what it means to be on a Bitcoin social layer. Like, what does it mean to be on a Bitcoin standard? What does it mean to live in that Bitcoin world? So that's what we're going to go over today. So first off, you kind of have to understand the difference between the fiat social layer, which is what we live in right now, and the Bitcoin social layer. And he gives some pretty good analogies. So he talks about how the fiat social layer is pretty much just like destruction derby. Like, everybody just has a car and we're all just running around crashing into each other, and the winner is the one who lasts. But even after you last and you win in this fiat game, you're still all banged up and you're messed up. And so it's just a mess of a game to be playing in. It's a mess of a world to be living in. Whereas this Bitcoin social layer is more like Formula One. We all know the same rules and we're all racing towards the same goal. We all have pretty much the same car. You know, maybe our wing is set up a little different, and so you're able to get more grip in the corners, or somebody's wing is more flat so they can go faster during the straights. But we're all racing towards the same goal. We all know the same set of rules, and we're all playing equally, even though it's still competitive in the end. And so that's what it would be like living in a Bitcoin social layer. And this is actually what a healthy market looks like. Each generation builds off of the last generation, and your family is supposed to get better and better over time. But because we live in this fiat social layer, you get worse over time. This is why kids today are doing worse than their parents. The millennials out there, the 30-year-olds, the late 20-year-olds, they're all trying to move back at home with their parents. The Gen Z kids, the 20-year-olds or less, well, I guess not really less because they're still kids, but the Gen Z, you know, the ones who are like 20, 25, who are supposed to be going outside and exploring and living their lives, they're all staying at home because they can't afford anything. The fiat social layer is the inverse of the Bitcoin social layer. Everything just gets worse over time. Cars cost more, houses cost more, everything just gets worse. And it's like, wait a minute, is this really how it's supposed to be? But this is the world that we live in. In 2016, 8 years ago, the average cost of a house was $288,000. And now, today in 2024, the average cost is about $450,000. In another 8 years, it'll probably be like $800,000. And then in another 8 years after that, it'll probably be like, the average home will probably be over $1 million. And it's like, how is this even possible? But this is the world we live in. Prices just go up in this fiat debt-based society that we live in today. You know, and I think it's crazy because most people don't even know what the heck is going on outside today. And it's just the money is bad. We're working with bad money. I'm really looking into like real estate and, you know, all of these different ways to make money. And you look at these guys like Grant Cardone or Robert Kiyosaki, and I forgot there's another guy that hangs out with Robert Kiyosaki. His name is Ken something. And these guys are all real estate billionaires. And we can't play that game today. You know, these guys are all in their 60s and 70s. And when they grew up, you know, the average house that they can get was like $50,000, $60,000. You can get an apartment complex for a few $100,000. And so these guys that built these empires, they would get a bunch of houses, and then they would 1031 tax exchange them into apartment complexes. And then they would change those into commercial real estate buildings. And today we are priced out of that game. We can't play that game. And so when these guys are all telling you to get into real estate now, it's like, we can't do that. We can't get a bunch of houses, which are like $500,000, and then upgrade those into $20 million apartment complexes, and then upgrade those into $100 million commercial building. We don't have that opportunity, which is why you see people like Grant Cardone or even Meet Kevin talking about, hey, come invest in my real estate fund. It's like, why do I need to invest in your real estate fund? It's because we've all been priced out of the real estate market. We can't play that game like they used to in the past, but we can play the game of Bitcoin. And in the future, people will be saying the same things in 10, 15 years when Bitcoin is like $10 million, $20 million a coin. Everybody's going to be like, how do you have so much? How did you get half a coin? How did you get a quarter of a coin? And it's like, well, I got in when it was 50, 60, 70,000. And they're going to be saying the same thing, like, oh my God, I can't believe you got in. The same way we're looking at these real estate billionaires, how they were able to get in and get so much profit. Like, how can you afford to get an apartment complex? How do you have all of these commercial buildings? They got them way back when. They were born into the right time for real estate, just like we are born into the right time for Bitcoin today. Now, he does mention how this Bitcoin social layer, not everybody is going to win, but everybody has a chance to compete and bring their value to the world to help more people, which will then in turn allow everybody to have a better living standard. Again, if you have certain skills, you can bring that to the marketplace and you will get paid for that. Whereas today, because of this fiat social layer we live on, those who are closest to the money printers and the people who control the money, those are the ones who get paid, while everybody else kind of has to suffer. Because again, if you're not close to the money printers, if you're not close to the people who are handing out the money, you kind of just don't get paid. And also in this new Bitcoin world, it realigns who you are and it benefits everybody. Because if you are good at something, if you like to do something, you can be the best at that and get paid for that. Because today in this fiat world, you may like to do something, but it pays better or pays more to do something else. So like if you're a teacher or you want to be a teacher and you love kids and you love caring for these kids and you want to help them and see them learn and grow, you know, like that's what you want to do, but that profession doesn't pay a lot. So you're like, okay, well now I need to be a doctor. I need to be a lawyer. I need to get into finance. You may not like that career field, but you know that's where all the money is today. And in a Bitcoin world, that goes away because now you get to specialize in whatever you're good at and you will get paid top Bitcoin for that. People really don't understand how much that messes with your mind and kind of throws you off of who you are and how you want to contribute to society. But again, this is the world we live in. When the money is bad, when we live under this money that is controlled and is funneled to wherever the people who create it want it to go, now everybody else goes there. Oh, I know they're giving money to the people who are getting into banking, so let me go be into banking even though I don't like this. Once we get out of that world and go into a Bitcoin world, it incentivizes people to just focus on whatever they're good at and they can be the best at that craft and will get paid for that. And also in this world, Bitcoin really allows you to save your money, which it just allows you to focus more on your craft and more on your skills. You see too many people today, they're doing their job, but then they have to be, professional investors. They got to know what the next hot stock is. They got to try to be real estate moguls and just, buy and do flips with real estate. Now everybody wants to be a day trader or, the new hot thing is I just keep seeing memes about parlays. I hope my parlay hits. Now everybody has to be a gambler because this fiat world that we live in, the money is so bad that people are just resorting to gambling. Let me just throw $100 in and hopefully I can hit 10,000 just to keep up today. Whereas in Bitcoin, because it holds its value and because that value grows over time, now you can focus on your craft, which allows you to get more Bitcoin, and then you can just leave it in the Bitcoin and it will grow over time. So then you can just go back outside and focus more on your craft or get better. It's so beautiful that it allows you to do that. And then you can just keep thinking further in the future instead of next week or next paycheck. You can plan your life out. It really lets you slow time down, which allows you to be a better person. It allows you to focus more on the things that you really love in this life because you're not worried about, oh, my money is just dwindling away, or it's going to be worthless in a year, or I need to hurry up and get more of it because that house is going to be more expensive in the future. It really allows you to, again, I think it's called, you have a lower time preference. Again, you're able to see out a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and just save your money in Bitcoin, knowing it's growing over time, and you could focus more on your craft, which just allows you to get more Bitcoin in the end. And so it's just a loop of just everything being better. Everybody gets to focus on what they're good at and then just save their value in Bitcoin. Everybody benefits from that because you get better at your craft, they get better at their craft, quality of things goes up, your quality of your life goes up, and everybody can benefit just by saving Bitcoin. It's so crazy how just by saving your money and having that go up in value benefits the world. It benefits you because you're able to, again, focus on your craft, and then the next person can focus on their craft, and so everything gets better. Another thing that Bitcoin does, again, living in this new world, it disincentivizes war, which I don't really see a lot of people talking about, probably because they don't want to touch on this subject too much when you're watching podcasts or listening to people talk about it on TV. But having a money printer, something that you can just print up money out of thin air, it allows you to go into war whenever you want. It allows you to print up money and just spend it on weapons. This current administration, which has less than 2 months until they have to change out, they just gave a certain country another $50 billion. It's like, wow. This next administration wants to kind of come to a deal and hey, we need to stop all these wars. But the current administration was like, here's another 50 billion so you can keep it going for as long as you can. And it's like, what are we doing right now? That money is going to have to be repaid, which is just crazy to think about. But on this new Bitcoin standard of this Bitcoin social layer, because the money is sound, because it's fixed, you can't just print it up and just send it wherever you want to. And so if we're going to war, it has to be something that the people really want. We're going to have to use this money for war. So wars become something that's not really like a gain and more defense. Like, hey, we're really being attacked. We need to defend ourselves rather than just going out there and just letting it continue. We can stop these things as fast as we can on a Bitcoin social layer. When it comes to the systems themselves, the fiat system is fragile. You know, it needs people to be scared for it to work. It needs to coerce you into using it. It needs to use fear and violence for you to use it. But when it comes to Bitcoin, Bitcoin is anti-fragile. It's there and it's working and it's never been down. It's never been hacked. It is strong. That's the system we need. We need a strong system that's just strong on its own. And it's funny because so many people are like, oh, Bitcoin's a bubble, Bitcoin's a tulip, it's gonna pop, just you wait, it's going to zero. Bitcoin has already been battle tested its entire life. Since the moment it came on the scene in 2009, it's been running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's been battle tested. People have been trying to hack it since forever. They can't hack it. 2017, the block size wars happened and Bitcoin got forked and everybody didn't want the forks. They didn't want the Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin survived. And so this is why another thing, when people are like, oh, why can't they just create another one? They've already tried that and it can't happen. Bitcoin is the one and it's the one everybody wants. We've gone through Mt. Gox blowing up, FTX blowing up, Celsius, BlockFi, Voyager, all of these exchanges blowing up, and Bitcoin is still here. Bitcoin is on its fourth halving now. The first halving, it dropped 94%. The second one, it was like 82%. The third one, it was like 78%. And here we are once again, about to go into all-time highs in 2025. And people are still outside saying it's going to zero. It's gonna crash, it's a bubble, it's a tulip. It's like, no, this thing has been battle tested and it's not going anywhere. If you don't understand that Bitcoin is not going to zero at this point, like, I don't even know what to tell you. And then he just ends off by saying that every time Bitcoin is declared dead, it just grows back stronger. Here we are in December of 2024 and Bitcoin is really staying strong over this 100K line. It's not going anywhere. And so at this point, it's only a matter of time before hyperbitcoinization happens. And it's not even just an if, it's kind of just like a when. Eventually, Bitcoin is just going to grind up higher and higher and higher and higher until people no longer want dollars. They want the better money, which is Bitcoin. And so, yeah, that is the Bitcoin social layer. I really like this chapter, understanding the Bitcoin layer compared to the fiat layer and understanding why it's better and why people should move over. It's crazy that people are still outside challenging Bitcoin, saying it's going to zero, saying they're not going to buy it. We see this all throughout history. There's always going to be winners and losers. There's always going to be people who see the new thing and move over, and the people that don't, they'll just get left behind and then they will complain. So they're going to complain the whole time. They're going to say something isn't good, I'm not moving over, and then they just get left behind and start complaining. So I feel like I'm going to be on the right side of history by buying this stuff. I just hope everybody else can see it, or at least, again, do the research and understand why we are going into this world and why Bitcoin is here and why it's going to continue to be here and continue to grow and continue to be more valuable. So yeah, so that's it for this one. Go ahead and hit a like and subscribe again if you haven't, and I'll catch you guys in that next one. Peace.